and South Africa. The repatriation process of the remains of the Limpopo accident victims to begin today. And in the world of sports, Botswana Cricket Association to host a newly branded Four Nations Women T20 International Tournament. You're welcome and thank you so much for joining us. Starting with our first story, President Dr. Masis and Cyril Raposa have reiterated that the Ramatlakala tragedy has re-emphasized the strong bilateral relations that exist between the two countries. The two countries' historic background, underpinned by mutual respect and support for one another, have enabled a smooth management of the incident, from investigation through to the anticipated repatriations.
Botswana and South Africa have a strong background of cooperation on cultural, political and economic matters. The response and management of the Ramatlakala accident further puts this relationship on the spotlight, leaving both presidents remembering how far both countries have come in support for one another.
That speaks volumes about the relationship between the two countries, which is underpinned by compassion, humanness, cooperation and transparency. We were able to work with the government of Botswana in its various iterations. And today we've reflected on that and are grateful that we live in a liberated South Africa, as President Masis was saying, where the good relations become the oil and the grease that enables us to work well without any friction, without any doubt, without any suspicion.
Not only is it out of nostalgia, but when we think back, like President Raposa was saying, to the times when South Africa was under an oppressive, hostile, white minority racist regime, the response that we get this time speaks to the values as encapsulated in the ideals of a free South Africa led by President Ramaphosa. We applaud it. It's filled with every attribute of humanity.
As both countries support each other through this calamity, there are lessons to be learned.
We can hold together so tight and well and tessellate in a time of crisis. What else can you imagine we can do in terms of happiness and peace? So Daudun, I want to hold your hand and say thank you publicly, my brother.
Thank you.
You're a true brother. And let it be so between Botswana and South Africa forever.
For both countries, this incident has been a test on their resources, forcing them to come together, reminiscing about how they have handled hardships in the past. Batami Malabe, BTV News, Ramatlakala, South Africa.
The repatriation process of the remains of 45 ZCC pilgrims who perished in a bus accident in Limpopo is expected to commence today. According to Limpopo MEC for Health, Dr. Popi Ramatuba, only 6 bodies have been positively identified so far.
What we can confirm now is that the 6 have been positively identified, even using the fingerprints. We are expecting their families from Botswana. The repatriation process will start, so we will be done. Then the remaining, we still remain, is the human remains. The process of tissue sampling has been completed. All the samples have been sent to our DNA laboratory.
From Botswana?
The South African, from the remains. Yes. We've done all those tissue sampling, 72 tissue sampling, depending on the body parts that we found. They are already at the lab undergoing their analysis, or they are at an advanced stage. Remember we said our Botswana counterparts will do DNA sample for comparison. They've already completed. They've sent the data to us. We have the data. So we are in the process of comparison.
The Gaborone Dam water capacity is expected to increase in the next coming days. This after heavy downpours in the southern parts of the country. The Director of Water Utilities Corporation, Strategic and Corporate Affairs, Mr. Peter Stigma, says due to the continuous high pressure at the BOTSWANA Dam, the Gaborone Dam has begun to impound water, which is expected to increase the water capacity. Mojadi Mukibelo has more.
Heavy rainfall in the southern parts of the country has caused some major dams in the Kwene region overflow into BOTSWANA Dam, which then flows into the Gaborone Dam. Due to the continuous high pressure at the BOTSWANA Dam, the Gaborone Dam has begun to impound water, which is expected to increase the water capacity and sustain many livelihoods.
Metsiana a simolotse go tsena mo letamong ka mantaga bosigo o early hours tsa labobedi mme a simolotse go tsena ka tsona nako tseo go ra re bosigo jwa mantaga labobedi o tlhentsa tsena bosigo jwa labobedi le gompieno.
The water has started overflowing in the Gaborone Dam since Monday evening up to now, and this shows there will be an increase of water flow in the dam, and as the dam impounds water, the water will then be used for domestic use.
Spillover jaaka o bona ha mo nokeng lona ga le ka tlala metsi a o tsholo ga tsena mo notwane a hetela ko pele.
As the Gaborone Dam begins to impound water, the Water Utilities Corporation has implored the public to use water sparingly.
Ka gore le ga re ntse re bua gore matamo a ka nna a ka re tsa dikgwedi tse kana go sena go ela go na ga pula. Bothata ke gore re dirisa metsi jang e be re goga metsi a kae mo letamong ga re go goga metsi a mantsi dikgwedi tse di a gokotsega ka palo mme ga re dirisa metsi sentle.
Even if we have indicated that the Gaborone Dam water capacity can sustain livelihoods around Gaborone and its surrounding areas for the next couple of months, I still urge the public at large to use water sparingly at all times to save more water for the future. Initially, the Water Utilities Corporation has stated that the dam's water capacity could sustain livelihoods around Gaborone and its surrounding areas for next coming 16 months. The current impoundment is expected to increase this time frame in the future. Mojadi Mukibelo, BTV News, Gaborone.
Mayors of the towns considered to be in the special economic zones around the country, together with the Special Economic Zones Authority, SEZA, took part in a mayor's forum recently in Lobatse to discuss economic developments that have been carried out in their towns. Chief Executive Officer for SEZA, Mr. Lonely Mohara, says he is pleased with the commitment that the mayors have shown towards the effective rollout of the Special Economic Zones reform. Tato Ranna compiled this report.
In an effort to grow the country, SEZA has partnered with local authorities in order to drive economic progress and assist Botswana's businesses with infrastructure development, landing investors, and assisting them with licenses where necessary. Mr. Godisang Radisego says this will ensure that local businesses grow into mega export businesses, citing the Selibe Pique Citrus project as an example.
For a very long time, and the nation at large, on the ground. SEZA has been working tirelessly with your different structures to facilitate various mega export-oriented projects. I'm happy to share with you today the successes that we have seen in Selibe Pique, really a case study.
We must also note that Vision 2036 is 11 years. So as a nation, to be prosperous by 2036, so let us be encouraged to support SEZA as they implement the mandate through our localities.
Despite the progress made in different communities, the Francistown mayor expressed concern over slow delivery of the reform to their towns.
I therefore would like to express my concern that delivery says betsu ibunya. Iyo ne ke batla re amogele hela gore yo dingwe di bunya. There are many challenges that are hampering the progress. Tse dingwe tse leng gore ra bolelwa ka tsone lembo funding and lack of stakeholder collaboration and global economic shocks, which impact negatively on investment.
The mayors, together with the Special Economic Zones Authority, promised that they are set on delivering impactful transformation for communities. Tatarana, BTV News, Lobadze.
Thank you for staying with us. We continue with our news this afternoon. The Member of Parliament for Francistown East, Bili, has urged Donga residents to utilize Chacha Fund to grow their businesses and improve their livelihoods. Addressing a Khotla meeting in Donga, Mr. Bili, who is also the Assistant Minister of Youth, Sport, Gender and Culture, said the fund is tailor-made to empower informal businesses. Abigail Madorobo compiled this report.
Informal businesses make a significant portion of the economy, and as such, there is a need for investment in the informal sector as the country aspires to transform into a high-income economy. Mr. Billy highlighted that the government took a deliberate decision to empower locals through the vegetable import ban, saying Chacha Fund will come in handy for those in need of financial assistance. Chacha initiative is inclusive to all, but it doesn't mean the available funded YDF and CEDA will stop due to it. So people go and make this initiative useful as its main market of the government.
Poultry houses, local government. Bareka dikuku huwa bana baja bareka mai bana baja go school so lenaneo khalele le ithela lena le market wa lone gale market wa lone o motona ke ene government mme le rona tshwantse yana re dire dithoto tse eleng gore re ka phadisanya le mahatshe a mangwe.
Residents graced the Chacha Fund and some raised their point of view about the fund.
Ke re gongwe ke
We are grateful with the initiative, but my concern is this time frame of 6 months is a short period, so I urge the government to increase the time frame to at least 2 years.
Minister, ya 6 months, kaya lekana. Ja mikere, kana butsadi ha ba kokotetsa ka ditafole tsa bonetse. Le ene 5,000 ta ke ba mmona ka 6 months. We have heard about
Chacha Fund, but the way things are, it will bring problems as Botswana are already in poverty. I don't see them taking this money back, as they are going to buy their needs instead of doing businesses. Residents were urged to change their mindset and do things that will change their lives in a positive way. Residents requested the government to keep a close eye on the beneficiaries of the Chacha Fund to ensure that the businesses are sustainable. Abigail Madorobo, BTV News, Donga.
The 2024 Heads of Mission Conference has been deemed a success. This was highlighted by the Dean of the Botswana Diplomatic Corps, Ambassador Dr. Talia Molokome, noting that they are ready to advance the country's development agenda in their respective diplomatic stations abroad. She said this in an interview with BTV News alongside the closing session of the 10-day conference this morning in Gaborone. Monica Setswaila.
The conference was a platform for envoys to engage in discussions with stakeholders including the President, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the private sector. All this was meant for them to reflect and get guidance which seeks to reaffirm Botswana's position in the world. Now that the conference has come to an end, the envoys have expressed their readiness to assist in advancing the country's national interest and diplomatic relations.
We've just adopted our preliminary document, the action items of the conference. They are not final yet. I cannot share the details, but I can assure you that we are very confident as envoys, ambassadors and high commissioners, that we are armed with enough of a mandate. We have undertakings from the highest level, beginning with the president, that the necessary resources will be availed within, of course, the budgetary constraints that we all face to execute the mandate of the ministry. We have agreed to engage with our ministry headquarters more regularly in using the virtual platforms.
They were also reminded of their contribution to the country's aspirations of attaining a high-income economy by 2036.
I'm happy to note that His Excellency the President gave us a clear picture of his vision of what needs to be done and what his expectations are with respect to the contributions we should make to propel Botswana towards a high-income, knowledge-based economy by 2036. Excellencies or distinguished envoys, given these high expectations, it is incumbent upon us to fully implement the outcomes of this conference within the timelines agreed. We will also have to reinvigorate our systems, processes, and policies to enhance the performance of our ministry and missions.
While in the country, the envoys visited various projects which Botswana takes pride on, such as Lubu Small Stock Farm, Ramatlabama Artificial Insemination Facility, Jwaneng Mine, and the Silibi Pigwe Citrus Project, to observe and appreciate the country's progress in terms of developments. Monica Satswaila, BTV News, Gaborone.
And lastly, the Botswana Stigma Index 2.0 study of people living with HIV and AIDS of 2023 survey launched indicated a drastic change towards stigmatization of people living with HIV and AIDS. Hence, the survey revealed more statistics from the previous one, as now people living with HIV and AIDS are now freely revealing their statuses to the public in large numbers, a development that could reduce stigmatization. This was revealed by the Assistant Minister for State President, Ms. Boitumelo Kgofamodimo, during the official launch. Kumiso Mapanyane reports.
The confidentiality of one's health status is one of the key health components. Thus, such studies where people living with HIV and AIDS tend to reveal their status publicly is highly recommended to reduce stigmatization that used to happen in the past. Ms. Kgofamodimo appreciated how the public now relates with people living with HIV and AIDS, as they respect their rights and dignity for one to be more welcome to the society at large.
I am confident that the recommendations outlined in the report will guide in sustaining the good progress made against stigma and discrimination, as well as aid the development of targeted interventions and policies that address the gaps. By working together, we can create a more inclusive and supportive environment for people living with HIV and ensure that they receive the care, the respect, and the support that they deserve. We are now set to inform the nation and the world at large about how we are doing as a country and to facilitate the necessary programming. Let us work together to ensure a world where every individual, irrespective of their HIV status, can access the resources and the support needed to lead a healthy and meaningful life.
The Deputy Executive Director of the Policy, Advocacy and Knowledge at UNAIDS, Ms. Christine Sterling, emphasized that through the partnership from civil societies and the government, the ending of HIV/AIDS by 2030 can be possible.
The fight is not over. We must remind ourselves that complacency is a very dangerous thing. I mean, we need to remind ourselves, what does it take to sustain what we have achieved and maybe to even excel more? Because complacency becomes a luxury we cannot afford if our communities still face even the smallest amount of stigma. I think what I was most impressed about to hear from your study was how much stigma has reduced in healthcare facilities, whether it's for HIV services or for general health services.
We have pushed the conversation here HIV much far beyond what most countries actually have. I think you just have sometimes to go into the society or do work in the community to see that people tend to discuss HIV freely, much more freer than before.
Harnessing the environment that is inclusive towards the support of people living with HIV and AIDS has been noted as vital to reduce discrimination. Kumiso Mapanyani, BTV News, Gaborone.
And this is where we leave it for now. I'm making way for TT to give you the sports update.
Thank you, Rate Gefetlile. It is that time of the afternoon where we look at In Contact, the sports update brought to you by Tato Khosumori. Thank you for joining us. DMSS Gators Club began the Gators Swimming Gala on a high note, collecting more points on the first day yesterday. Host DMSS Gators performed well in the 400 meters of freestyle and the 200 meters backstroke. More than 200 swimmers turned up for this event.
Yesterday, after the first two events, that was only two events yesterday, in first place it's DMSS Gators, the hosting club, with 382 points. In second place, GAC, which is Gaborone Aquatic Centre, with 273 points. In third place, Propeller Swimming Club with 113 points. Fourth, Phoenix Swimming with 76 points. Fifth is Basa, which is the Bulawayo Amateur Swimming Association, with 69 points. In sixth place, BDF Dolphins with 47 points, and seventh place, UB Swimming Club with 31. And we just aim to get those kids to work their hardest and get their personal best times. So every single race, they just try to get their personal best time, and the medals will follow, but it's really most importantly just to focus on your own time, getting that better.
And lastly, Botswana Cricket Association will host a newly branded Four Nations Kalahari Women T20 International Tournament from the 20th to the 27th of this month at Cricket Oval in Gaborone. Lydia Poloko with more.
After failing to host the Women's T20 tournament in the past due to various challenges, Botswana Cricket Association is now ready to stage the competition, formerly known as Botswana Cricket Association T20. The 8-day tournament comes up with new changes.
The BCA is revisiting and relaunching our T20 tournament for the women that we had many years ago and hasn't been held for the last couple of years. It will be a round-robin tournament, but we play it twice, so that every team will get more games to play. So instead of 3, they'll play 6 games. It is an ICC sanctioned event as well, whereby all these games will be counted towards the world ICC rankings for the women. Because as you know, right now we are ranked 41, and Rwanda are ranked much higher than us, and Mozambique and Lesotho are below us. It gives an opportunity for Botswana, obviously, to try and improve their rankings, but at the same time gives the others also to do better and see how they can fare for themselves.
Damoda has explained that the ladies team, which is ranked 41st in the world standings, are ready for the tournament as they have long started their preparations.
All 4 of our national teams are in camp basically because the men and the under-19 boys and under-19 girls will be playing in the ICC events later this year. The women have also been training because, you know, we have the issue where we have contracted players as well, so they are bound to fulfill their contractual obligations with regards to fitness and practice and training. But as a team, the women are in session. They're not in camp as such, but they're in training because they're pretty much all from around Gaborone. And they're training about 4 or 5 days a week and playing practice games over the weekend. So training is quite intense. The added advantage being that we had the coaches from India recently, so they also worked with them and showed them some more additional skills and showed them their flaws in the video analysis. So I would say that our women should be okay to say that they are ready to take the battle on, better than what they did when they unfortunately went to Uganda and played the way they did.
4 nations, Lesotho, Mozambique, Rwanda, and host Botswana, will compete in the Kalahari Women's T20 International Tournament, billed for the 22nd to 27th of this month at Cricket Oval in Gaborone. Lydia Poloko, BTV Sport, Gaborone.
And that's all we had for you from In Context, the sports update. Stay tuned for more from In Context this afternoon. Thank you.
Mohau wa morena Jesu o be le rona kaofela mohau wa gago Jehova o be le setšhaba sa go kaofela le lerato la modimo le matshediso a moya.
I'm delighted to host this important gathering aimed at enhancing our collective efforts to prevent the use of biological weapons and promote biosafety and